Hey everyone, thank you for joining us for the next session of our Model Mondays series. My name is Anna. I'll be your producer for this session. I'm an event planner for Reactor, joining you from Redmond, Washington. Before we start, I do have some quick housekeeping. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. Keep an eye on that chat. We'll be dropping helpful links and checking for questions for our presenters and hosts to answer live. Our session is being recorded. It will be available to view on demand right here on the Reactor channel. With that, I'd love to turn it over to our host for today. Nitya, thank you so much for joining.
Hi, thanks as usual, Anna, and welcome everyone. Another Monday, and I just want to take a minute to tell you that this is actually 1 year since we first kicked off Model Monday, so yay anniversary to us. And we have a really great show for you today. We have a 1 hour long episode split into two parts. First, we're going to have a speaker from Black Forest Labs talking about their image models. And in the second segment, we're going to talk to Sebastian Kohlmeier about observability. But first, I want to welcome Sharmila to the screen. Hey, Sharmila.
Hi everyone. Hi, Nitya.
Hi, we've been partners in crime for a year. Would you believe it? A year now. So I think that's great.
Yeah, it's nice that the duos back together for this episode. Super excited for, as I said, excited for this show today. And we've been doing this, we are trying to bring in our partners into the Model Mondays, trying to bring them in, and so they can talk about their models and give their insider view of what is happening. So I'm really excited for the show today.
Yeah, and before we kind of bring Stephen on, just to let you know that the way the show runs is we'll have this partner spotlight, then we have a really nice customer story about that model. Then we're going to kind of catch up on all the news in the second hour, and then we'll have a tech spotlight. So without further ado, we should introduce our speaker. Sharmila, would you like to do the favors and introduce Stephen to our audience?
Yep. We are super happy to welcome Stephen Batifol from Black Forest Lab. He's a developer advocate at BFL. And, I'm really excited to welcome him because we've been, I think it was even before Ignite of last year, we brought in some of the Black Forest Labs models, and we've been working very closely with BFL to bring the latest and greatest models. In fact, last week, I think it was Wednesday of last week, we brought in their latest Flux 0.2 Flex model into Foundry. And what's great about these models are they're pushing the boundaries of controllable image transformation, precision editing, and production-grade visual workflows. And also what makes BFL models unique is their focus on preserving structure and realism and not just generating images, but rather intelligently transforming them in ways that feel authentic and enterprise ready. So I am really excited to dive into how their models are being used in real world scenarios and powered through Foundry. So please join me in welcoming Stephen from BFL onto the stage. And let's, Stephen, please go ahead.
Thank you very much.
Yours. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for having me. I really appreciate it. Really excited for it. As I've already been introduced, I'm Stefan. I lead developer operations here at BFL. And today, I'm here to talk about BFL models, and in particular, Flex, which was released, I think, 5 days ago now on the Foundry. So this is what I will focus on today. But let's go on the slides. Thank you. So first, for the people that don't know who Black Forest Lab is and what are we doing, our goal is to extend human imagination. It's to give everyone and every person the ability to turn ideas into imagery and imagery into experiences. So we build the tools that let the world's most iconic stories evolve visually, interactively, and infinitely. If you know us likely for our image models, but this is not the end. We also want to take visual intelligence beyond content creation. So there are three main focus for BFL. There's going to be robotics and automation, where in the future you can train agents in generated worlds. You can think also that will allow you to scale self-driving, automate manufacturing, for example. Real-time generation as well. We want you to be able to render mockups as fast as you think. You can, browse design choices with persistent memory as well. And you can think of interactive visual engines for the gaming and the film industry. As other companies as well, we want to go towards world models. The idea is to understand and simulate geometry, relationship, and interaction of the physical world. We will launch in 2024 in the Black Forest in Germany. We have about 70 employees now with a current valuation at 3.3 billion. We're hiring everywhere. I'll just drop this as well, but we also have a large network of customers and partners, and we also have an office in San Francisco. On top of this, we have a very strong open source community, but we also go deeper and deeper into the enterprise segment. We have obviously Microsoft, and then we have other partners as well, which we are very close with. But what we want to insist on and what I want to say today is that really the companies that are embracing AI now will basically define the future of storytelling. Foundational models now are becoming realistic. You don't have like this plastic AI look that you may have had in the past. You can see it with the Flux models that are getting better and better, and other models are also getting better. Integrations remains fragmented though, but there's still an advantage to being early. We can see with a lot of AI companies in the world, when you're early, you get to build new things, and your customers are also at the forefront, which are like the power users that you may want to have. But control is very important, and this is where Flux models are really strong at. We also allow you to have a lot of controls over the models, so you don't only have the API, but you also have a different offering for Flux. We also show you the prompts. For Flux to Flex, for example, we show you the steps, and we also show you the guidance, which are things that are usually hidden for other models. Oops. Go next. Yes. BFL is from 2024, but the team has been in there for a long time now. So the team's work has been included in over 150,000 citations in the last 4 years. They are the creator of latent diffusion in 2022, that then got added to stable diffusion in 2023. And they've also published different papers now with stable diffusion video as well, which was published in 2023. So BFL is research heavy, research first. This is something we want to keep in the future as well. This is a key differentiator for BFL as well. We released Flux 2 lately. We released Flux 2 Pro in November 2025 now, and Flux 2 Flex as well. It is now in the Foundry. So those are two different models, where Flux 2 Pro is our state-of-the-art quality model with a very good prompt adherence, and it can also generate at a lower cost. And Flux 2 Flex is really the one where you have full control. We give you control over how many steps you may have for the generation, but also the guidance scale. And that way, it really gives you full control for text rendering and the fine details that you may not have with other models. So which model to choose? On Foundry, we have Pro, which is the production workflow. It's really useful for fast iteration. And Flex is the one you may want to focus on if you want to like text-heavy design, UI prototyping, or typographic critical work. On top of this, they both support up to 10 images for image editing. So that means if you are a brand and you want to add, I don't know, maybe the colors of your brand, and then you want to add some pieces of clothes or a t-shirt, and a new logo that you want to add, you can really give a lot of context to Flux, making it really, really good then to produce an image. Flex, as I've already said before, has adjustable steps and guidance for precision. But yes, what can Flux 2 do then? Many, many things. Multi-reference support, as I've mentioned. It's also very good at image details and photorealism. You can see it on the 2 generation here I have. So the one on the left where you can see, if I zoom in even, if I zoom in, you can really see like the details you have, like the model makes sense of the gravity. You have the chalk here, the mountain makes sense. This is where Flux 2 really shine. And on the bottom right here, you can see, this is out of distribution, but you have a dragonfly and you have a rabbit on top of it. But if you look at the paw of the rabbit and the ears and everything kind of makes sense, even though this is out of distribution. So this is where Flux 2 is also really, really good. Text rendering for infographic and websites. I will show you later on, but I've generated entire websites with Flux 2. And I've also generated entire websites where I take the images as input to give context to the model. And then the model, decides what it should generate based on those images. Also have better prompt following in comparison to our other models and JSON prompting in particular, better word knowledge and higher resolution. And also what's very good is flexible input and output ratios, meaning you're not stuck in a 1-to-1 format. You can really go in details, and you can really go in details in the height and in the width as well for the images. So yes, I've shown it. I've said it before about multi-reference support. You can see on the left side here of the image, you have the different input images that we're giving to Flux 2. The one with the kids, you see. And then on the bottom left are the animals that we want to replace the kid with. You can see at the bottom right, I have the prompt, which is replace the children in the image with the animals, and then I just give the numbers of images. And we say also adjust them to the space and style, so, it looks natural. So this is what you have then. And you can see, we didn't change the computers, we didn't change the TVs, and we made sure, Flux 2 made sure that, the animals are kind of make sense on what we have. And so this is because Flux 2 also understands what's happening on the image, so that makes it possible to then do those. You can also just ask you to cook a meal. Let's say that you just give a list of ingredients here, and the prompt is literally cook me a meal. Then it will show you a picture of the cooked meal. It won't cook it for you, but you can have the idea. You can have, okay, this looks cool, and maybe you can try to cook it that way. But something that I actually really like is that it can also understand poses. So on the left here, you see you have the image that is sitting on the sofa, and then I just give a pose as a guidance. And then Flux then understands that, this woman then has to have this position, which is very useful, especially for the fashion industry or e-commerce, because you can really put people in very specific position, which would be quite hard if you were to actually prompt it with text. On top of that, yes, you can have a send reference, where then you replace the people with multiple images here. So we have, this exact image, but the couple next to the fire replaced by the two people we give as input. And we didn't change the fire. We didn't change the sky that you see behind. It's only the two people here that have been replaced. And the woman has been replaced with a woman, and the man has been replaced with a man. We try to keep things consistent as well to make sure that the position stays the same on the left and on the right. You can make even more complex stories. This is one with 5 input images where we have, a house that I'm showing here on the top left. And then we have shoes that I'm going to extract. And then we have a tote bag as well. And then we have a man and a woman. And the prompt is trying to create a whole story here where the man is leaning against the wall reading the newspaper with the title Flux 2 that you can see here has been shown. And then the woman is walking past by him. She's carrying one of the tote bags, that's what I'm saying, and she's wearing the black boots. And then Flux then understands the context. It knows okay, this is the tote bag that was shown. Those are the black boots that were shown. And then we'll put that into the new images. And then I have even more to the style reference, of the image where I go she is quite relaxed. She's walking. He has a very formal look where he's reading the newspaper. And this is what you can see here on the right. On top of this, it's very good image detail and photorealism. You can see it here as okay, the tiger, would look real. If you didn't know that was generated with Flux, it's very unlikely you could tell. Same on the left, everything is generated. You can see the nails and everything, the fingers, everything is very, very neat. Here is one of my favorite one. You can see in the photorealism, not of the person, but more in the background. If you look, and you're very far in the back of the image here, where everything is straight, like all here, like on the balcony, everything is straight, everything makes sense. All the chair makes sense. You have a good amount of stairs, and you're really far out in the image, but Flux still understood and made sure that everything makes sense. So I find that very nice. On top of this, text rendering, I've shown it. Everything here is generated with Flux. The whole image on the left is generated with Flux, with all the text as well. Same in the middle. So that's where Flux to Flex is really shining. It's really where you have a lot of text to render. Then it will make sure to render it correctly. Can do infographics. So Black Forest Labs is based in Freiburg in Germany. And so this is a real infographics of why Freiburg is so sunny. It's actually the most sunniest city in Germany. But it's really this entire infographic here has then been generated. We helped it with a prompt on this one, but I'm sure you could also actually literally ask why Freiburg is so sunny, and then it will give you the information. And on top of this, then actually generate this infographic. As I've said, you can generate websites and UI mockups as well. Everything here is generated with Flux. Also on the right side, where you feature the projects, where then you have images within an image. Everything is in one shot and has fully been generated with Flex here. Same here, more websites that we've generated fully with Flex, where everything here has been generated and there's no input image, it's just a text prompt, and then the model figures it out. This is the one I was referring to before, where I gave images to Flux, and then I was create a website based on those images. So this is why then on the right, you see the model figured that this person was into fashion, or inferred rather. But then, yes, so you have this masked, but make it fashion. And then on the bottom part, you have the jumper and the person, and then, create some content around it. So this is really something which I find really cool, because the model understands and then made something cool out of it, where I don't have to define everything. And same for this one. You have different models on the left, and then Flux understood and created those websites. On top of this, what's very cool, and we'll see during the demo later, is exact color matching, where you can specify brand colors via hex code. That way, Flux will really do those, and you don't have to, you don't have to use blue or dark blue or red. You can just give hex codes, and then the model will understand which colors to use. Same here, as you see, and support different languages as well. I won't go into the details here, but you have one example in German, in French, in Thai, in Korean, and the model then understands everything. And I have the English translation at the bottom. So it's also useful if you have customers that don't speak English, then Flux can also help you in that regard. And I've mentioned already, it has way more world knowledge. So on the left side here, you see the real photograph. And on the right side is simply a generation with text, where we say, okay, you have the Cinei Opera House, and then Flux understands, know what it is. And same on the right here, on the left parts of the image, this is a real photograph. And on the right side, this is generated with Flux, where you talk about the bridge in London, which I forgot which one it is exactly. But that I have to check. And because it has way more knowledge, it also understands things, it makes sure that the lights are coherent. This image, for example, is fully generated. And make sure that, the computers are at the correct spot. All the lights that you see, are on the ceiling, and they're not, on the floor or on the machines. It knows what it's supposed to like. And so then it's capable of doing so. And finally, high resolution, flexible inputs and outputs. So you can see, you can really play with it. And I'll show you actually directly in the demos. But this is something that is very, very handy, because it's not only 1x1 or 16x9 or 9x16. You can really go deep into the details, which you might not think is that useful. And actually it's extremely useful, because you want to match also the input image that you're giving. And input images, may have very, very different input and output ratios. So yes, you can have it on the AI Foundry, but now I'll go into my demo. So, oops, sorry. I'll go quick, but I wanted to show you that it's not only the slides, but we have the code now, and I'll also share the link after, so you can play with it directly. But what Flex is different, as I said, text rendering, data preservation, control, and also multi-reference support. This is just one example. So this, of course, was not generated in one go with Flex. This is just a collage of like different outputs of the models, to showcase the different different variants that you can have. You can have like things that don't exist at all, and things that are a bit more realistic. You can really go wide with the range. I'll just skip this part because this is just to set up the API key, and we're not very interested in this, I'm sure. But I'll show you different prompts now, and I've run it before just because, for the sake of time, basically, because otherwise I may have to wait a tiny bit. But here, I imagine that I have, I just want to design posters, and I have my whole prompt here. I have my text prompt where I go like, okay, here we're going to design a poster and make it like bold and modern, and then we're going to start with coconut, that is like halved, that is dominating the center right of the composition. And then we're going to have, we're talking about the style. So we'll go like clean, flat illustration style with like subtle paper-like features, texture, sorry. And then we give more details now about the coconut. Okay, how is the coconut? The coconut is like rich, dark brown, and the white flesh is smooth and bright. And then we can also, talk about the shadows that we want. And this is where Flux is really good, is also in lights and lightnings and all the details that you may want to have in the image, so that when you create something, it doesn't have this AI look that you may have. It will actually look like a real image. And this is one of the things where I'm always shocked sometimes with generations is the quality of it. Yes, and then here we give like, we give like something to the background, solid sky blue color, minimal uncluttered. Sorry, I can't speak. And then I'm adding more about the text on the top left. So it's like big and heavy, bold. And here I'm like, okay, we have a part that is cocoa on the first line and nut on the second line. I won't read the whole prompt because it's quite a lengthy one, but you can see it here. This is what you have. We can see here we have the bottom, we have a bit of the shadow. We have the, we have the half coconut on the top left. We have the cocoa on the first one, on the first line, and the nut on the second. And then we have tropical harvest, which was also added in the prompt on the bottom right. And you can see this could be, real poster design. I could really do it, not myself in Figma, but some people that have way more skills could for sure do it in other places. And then I have more where I have, another graphic design, and then I have a sneaker design. So this one is for vinyl, where I really do a different design, but still we keep the same modern style, minimalistic, And so you can imagine if you have vinyls, then here we have sneakers. You can really basically build a whole brand for this. If you were to sell like different objects, you could be an e-commerce website, selling sneakers, selling vinyls, and selling like even more things. And then now, you have this minimalist, poster design that we've created here. I've mentioned it, but we can have hex color matching. This one we have, I'm giving the colors directly in hex code. And then we have it here already where you have to trust me on this one because notebooks don't show colors, but it's really showing the colors that were written in the prompt here. Product photography, sorry. So you have, this is a use case that is used a lot where, you may have a product, think like an iPhone, think, I don't know, a mug that you're making on your pottery class on the weekend and then you want to sell. Well, then you may not be good enough to take like a proper picture. So then you can take like a normal picture and then make it like professional looking. So like here, for example, it's just something that doesn't exist where we have like pots and then we have like some logos and then that's something that could be created. And that also like some websites I know do this, for example. But then you can also use an input image, which will have this one. And on this one, I'll actually just take the orange lamp here. And my prompt will be to extract it. So I want to make it like, magazine style, editorial, product focus, only on the orange lamp. And then this is what we have then. We have something that is, it's a bit of a big image, but you only focused on the image here. And then you can see, like you could also extract different parts of the image. You could also remove the table, but it's something, to make it actually look nice. You can do plenty of other images here where we have like a Flux blend shop, for example, that could also be possible. On top of this, you can edit images, where this one we have this kombucha can, that is like the input image. This one doesn't exist, was actually created with Flux. But then we can extract it, actually. So we can extract it, into a poster style that we have here. And then I'm like, okay, that's cool. But what if I wanted to open a coffee shop with this design? Then you can also make it possible. You take this as the input image. And now you have like a whole design with a coffee, with the 2D poster that you had from the can, with the animals here as well, and like with everything. You could imagine that this would be the look. And finally, the last one is the character consistency. So we have this person here. Like, have a look at the mustache of this person and their hair, because that's, where we're going to insist. But I just go like, this person is in black and white at first. Now, he's going to sit like next to a fire, and you can have a look. The brand of the jumper is the same. The mustache is the same as well. And this is, where Flex is very good. It's for this character consistency. He can have another life again. The mustache is still here. He's now have the human as well, still jumper that hasn't moved. And now, he's just working on wood. But yes, I think that will be it. That will be it for my demo. Get started. Have fun with Flex. Have fun with Flux. And that'd be it for me. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. We definitely should grab hold of your notebook and put it on the site. I think it's a great setup. Because I think half of the battle with working with image models is knowing how to prompt it right. And you've got a spectacular set of examples. We're already getting questions flowing in, so I'm just going to start asking you a couple of things. One thing that was immediately clear to us was that this is really good for marketing automation. One of the folks, Bernard, basically said that's what his team uses it for. He had a question which says, is editing always via prompt, or is there also a kind of IDE where I can select parts of the picture and then just fine-tune that part?
We don't offer it properly, but it's in the. So I'm not sure what you mean with IDE here. I'm going to offer different answers. So if you have an image, and let's take this coffee studio I had just. Well, it's fine. Like the coffee studio, remember, that I had, then you could actually, over it, you could put like a bright color and be like, okay, like in this bright red color, replace the poster with whatever you want to replace it. So that could be a part where you can really edit it and edit locally. That would be a way, I think.
Yeah, he had a follow-up question, but I think when he was talking about IDE, he's just asking, do you have like a studio style of UI-based tool that you can use?
We have one, but it's a bit more like just to play with it. So it's the playground. We call it the playground. Otherwise, some of our partners have it where you can really select something.
So Bernard also had a follow-up question. He said, is OpenUSD possible as input format to describe or use for robotic scenes? And this is interesting to me because I really, really thought that your kind of focus on robotic in real time down the line is going to be super cool. So yeah, OpenUSD or scenes where CAD data is already available.
I know some people did it. I don't think it would be supported directly now in the API. Like I think the model might be confused, but I know some people with our open models where they use it directly.
Do you by any chance have like samples on your site somewhere where we can point people to where they can find these? Or maybe we can ask you afterwards.
No, I think they're going to be somewhere on Hugging Face, or like it's really deep on the internet. That's but I can maybe try to find them for you.
Oh, that would be awesome. So there are a couple more questions I'd actually asked on So two things occurred to me. One was I saw in one of the examples you showed that when it was replacing the children with the animals, it had actually there was a scene that was being occluded by a person, but it painted that in before placing the animal, which I thought was very cool. So in these kind of situations, going back to where prompting is important, how does BFL models, like how do they handle hallucinations? What are the best practices for prompting? Do you guys have guidance?
Yes. The first one I would say is like, don't do negative prompting. I always say Flux models are positive. So like instead of being, don't remove this person, be like, replace this person with whatever. That's like, it's really big. It makes a huge difference in your quality. Otherwise, it's to be descriptive. So you can give context and you can give like sentences, but it's important to be direct while also being descriptive. So in the prompts I had was really like, okay, replace the person with, the image and image 1 or the person in image 2 or something, like don't try to go too much, especially when you go editing. It's better to be like the way you would tell someone to edit. You wouldn't tell them as like, as some LLMs might write, sometimes they're a bit lengthy. Really tell them the way you would tell your friends how you would edit it, and that makes a huge difference.
The other question that was actually in our kind of chat before was, what are the biggest bottlenecks in productizing image AI today? And if you can also kind of comment on the other part of it, which is how should you think about image models when you're looking at these multi-agentic autonomous architectures? Any thoughts on like best practices?
Yes, for the first one, I think taste is the biggest bottleneck. I don't mean in like people don't have good taste, in a way that the model might render an image and you may or may not like it. And so there's still like a part of like, okay, you have to look at the image to know if you like it or not. This is, if you have more control and if you do fine tuning and everything, then you may be able to skip this part, but out of the blue, this is a problem. And then the other part was with the like whole agentic flows and everything you were talking about, right?
Yep.
This one, we have another model now that was released, which is focused on speed. So it's sub-second generations. This one would be the one, where you like basically make the generation, it's done in less than a second. So then the agent can really take over. And that's where we've seen like a lot of usage.
And just from kind of continue the train of thought, do you have, like, how do you evaluate? So one of the things I really loved is the consistency, right? Where you have a character and you kind of...
Yes.
If I'm building with these models, how do I kind of like specify my evaluation so that I'm like, okay, I'm keeping to the criteria that I want? Is that something you already have?
I mean, you can obviously use VLMs in the first place to like, to make sure, okay, like, does this person have like 3 arms or not, and then you have like a whole list of like, things to check. The style as well. The problem with VLMs is that they're not trained on taste. So they're trained on generic things, and so they'll be like, okay, this looks good, but to you it might not look good. So I think this is still the bottleneck that we have at the moment.
I'm going to invite Sharmila back because I think we have actually a customer story, and while she's coming back, you made me think of something, and that's very like so many things, and now I'm like really curious. The first example you gave was for a recipe, right? Was showing you a thing that didn't exist. And I know that's such a huge deal. There's so many cooking sites, you have no idea. I think it's going to be interesting to reverse engineer this. Like if you can generate an image for something you want to cook, and then the competition is you got to build it and make it look exactly like that. That could be a whole new ball game. We need to do this. But I'm going to see Sharmila's there.
Yeah,
Sharmila, do you want to come and talk a little bit about that? And while you come up, I'll just say that on the screen we have links to the 3 models on our Foundry catalog. So definitely do check them out, and we will get the notebook from Stephen and share that as well. Go ahead, Sharmila.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what's happening with my camera, because when I turn on my camera, my audio is getting really funky. So I'm going to keep my camera turned off. But thank you, Nitya, for kind of leading or doing a nice segue into the customer spotlight series, part of our series. So just like last week with Anthropic, we brought in Replit, who are using Anthropic models in their applications. We also wanted to kind of talk about a customer who's using Flux models in their end application. And we want to do this because we want to not just show what a model can do, but we also want to tie into, hey, our customers are also using these models in real world applications. So today's customer spotlight is Cinei. So they are Asia. They are based in Taiwan, China, Japan, and Malaysia. They are one of the largest real estate brokerages with around 3,500 agents across all these geos. And they are trying to address some challenges that you face in real estate. Like, for example, how do you show a property's true potential when the current owner is occupying the property and the room is cluttered, filled with a lot of things? And how do you produce polished marketing materials without sacrificing time that should be spent building client relationship? So they wanted to leverage AI to kind of address these friction points. And Cinei doesn't see itself just as a typical brokerage or real estate company. The AI project manager thinks of themselves as a technology empowered real estate service company, and this is how all our different parts of our different organizations and companies are going to evolve. Like, where when AI makes its inroads, they don't see themselves as a typical, like a real estate or a finance company. They're all trying to incorporate AI and become AI first companies. And so their philosophy, Cinei's philosophy, is very simple. AI doesn't replace humans, it just empowers them to build more. So they actually built a solution which is called a Clear All, which is powered by Black Forest Labs Flux Point One Context Pro, which is available on Microsoft Foundry. And that workflow is very elegant. So the model first analyzes interior property photos to determine if the image is indoors, and then identifies the visible clutter. If clutter is detected, the image is passed to the context model, which selectively removes unwanted objects without regenerating the entire room. And that distinction is critical because, unlike models that recreate a similar clean room, context works directly from the original image, preserving like the structure, lighting, and layout. And the final result feels authentic, like as if someone has gone in and tidied up the room and staged the room and not artificially redesigned it.
Should we play the video?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because I'm being timekeeper right now. But
Cinei Realty leverages Black Forest Labs Flux Context Pro from Microsoft Foundry to transform home buying. This is a real-life view of one of the properties Cinei Realty has for sale. The photos shown are from a property that is still occupied, so some everyday clutter is visible, making the space appear a bit untidy. However, with our newly implemented Clear All feature, we can quickly remove these household items from the images, restoring the clean, organized, and aesthetically pleasing visual of the space. Already driving real sales, this technology is transforming how homes are seen and sold. Taking it a bit further, our use of the Flux Context Pro model technology allows us to accurately retain the original structure of the space. It removes only the clutter without altering the fundamental features, making it easier for potential buyers to imagine living there, all while ensuring enterprise-grade security and compliance with Microsoft Foundry.
Yep, that's the video. I thought it was pretty cool, so I wanted to share it, especially with BFL here. Yeah. Go ahead. Nitya, are you talking? I'm not able to hear you.
I was muted.
Yeah,
I was basically going to say that we kind of had two segments today, but I think there's been a lot of interest in the BFL models. Thank you so much for being with us, Stephen, and we're going to try to bring some of the questions to you after. But now I think we'll segue over to our second segment. And Sharmila, if you're here, we'll put the news at the end. But I'm super excited to have Stephen Kohlmeier. I've been after him for so long to come on this show because one of the most important topics for building trustworthy AI is, of course, observability. And Stephen leads the team that builds tons of the really, really good features for observability in Microsoft Foundry. Welcome, Stephen. Tell us a little bit about you and what you guys are working on right now.
Hey, Nitya, good to see you. And it's Sebastian, by the way. I think
Oh
you.
God, don't. What did
That's
I
okay.
call
That's
you,
okay.
Sebastian? The name is right here. Sorry,
It's all good.
too many
Yeah,
S
super
names.
super excited today to talk to you about observability. It's obviously a topic top of mind for everybody who's building AI agents and applications. Usually, it's the first thing that comes up is how do you measure the quality, success, safety of your AI agents and applications, and observability is front and center from that perspective.
Yeah, and I'm super excited because you actually took the trouble to tape something for us. So I'm going to actually go through the demo, and then please put your questions in the chat for Sebastian. He'll be here when we come back, and then we can talk a little bit about what's coming up next, because I know there's lots coming up in the next few months or so. So
Awesome.
Let's roll tape.
To walk you through an overview of Microsoft Foundry Observability. The way we build AI applications and agents is changing, moving from single model to deterministic systems to multi-model, multi-agentic, and more complicated workflows and systems. We also know that agents are non-deterministic, creating new reliability and consistency challenges for developers and operators. This is one of the reasons why we're investing heavily in observability in the Microsoft Foundry, so that we can provide key capabilities across these three pillars, including evaluation of performance, quality, and safety, monitoring so that you can debug issues quickly, and optimization so that you can improve agent performance and address root cause. The way that we do this is as part of a broader suite of capabilities that we provide in the Foundry control plane. In addition to observability, the Microsoft Foundry also gives you the ability to define controls and guardrails that are applied at runtime. It gives you the ability to secure your agents and manage your agent fleet, providing a broad set of capabilities that you need all in one place. Now, from an observability perspective, we give you observability capabilities that align with your development workflow, so that when you're prototyping, you get observability out of the box to enable you to get started right away. You can then take that with you into your development environment, and then finally, you get fleet-wide visibility and control within your monitoring dashboard. All of this is underpinned by our evaluation, monitoring, tracing, governance, and optimization capabilities. Looking at it from a slightly different lens, the three areas that we're focused on include getting you set up for success during the prototype phase with minimal effort, and then giving you all the tools that you need so you can rapidly iterate and optimize in the inner loop. And then finally, leveraging outer loop signals to maximize ROI and continuously improve both your agent and your evaluation suite. Key capabilities that we announced at Ignite, our last conference, include a broad set of features that cover the full set of capabilities that you need for observability for AI agents and applications. Now generally available are our APIs for evaluation for models and data sets. We also have several public preview capabilities, including tracing, some value add features that are built on top of our evaluations, including cluster analysis, optimization capabilities, monitoring, alerts powered by Azure Monitor, and new agentic safety risks in our AI red teaming agent. Now, going one step further, let's take a look at what we offer for tracing. One of the key areas that we continue to invest in for tracing is interoperability. So that means open standards, making sure that our traces are compatible with the most popular agent frameworks. So regardless of where you've built your agent or where you're hosting your agent, you can observe it, you can evaluate it in the Foundry, and so forth. This is an area where we can continue to push forward the open standard as part of the OTel community. For example, we're actively working on 3 new semantic conventions covering things like planning, guardrail invocations, and memory. Now let's take a look at our evaluators. We provide a broad set of built-in evaluators covering quality, risk, safety, and agents. We've been investing heavily in adding new evaluators for agent-specific scenarios, including tool calls, task navigation, and so forth. Underpinning all of this is our very flexible custom evaluator capabilities. That includes both LLM as a judge and code-based evaluators so that you can create context-specific evaluators to measure the success and quality of your agents. Putting all of this together, here is an overview of what it looks like to evaluate an agent by walking through how you piece together the built-in evaluators that we have. For example, you have a weather agent. The first thing that the agent would do when the user asks about the weather in San Francisco is to see if it has successfully resolved the user's intent. And then from there, it will decide which tools to call to get the weather information. Here you can use our tool call evaluators to assess whether or not the right tool was called and whether or not it was called successfully. And finally, in step 3, the response, did the agent successfully complete its task? Is the response relevant, and so forth. So that just gives you an idea of how you would evaluate using the built-in evaluators. Of course, you'd want to add context-specific custom evaluators as well so that you can have your full suite of evaluators that measure the overall quality of the agent. And then finally, the last thing that I will highlight is we partner closely with Azure Monitor so that you can get unified observability. All of the observability data that we produce gets published to Azure Monitor. That includes tracing, eval results, red teaming results, so that you can go to Azure Monitor and get a full stack view across not just your apps, agents, and AI platform, which is what we offer in the Foundry, but also your data and infrastructure resources. And from there, you can create things like custom dashboards and so forth. So that wraps up the overview presentation. We're now going to hop into a now let's get started with the product demo. In this case, I have a support agent that answers product questions about the Microsoft Foundry. You can see that I have some instructions here. Bing grounding is attached as a tool to look up information about the user docs. It's a pretty basic agent. The cool part here in the Foundry is that when I test this agent, I can immediately get some sense of how it's performing by looking at these metrics in the playground, in this case, task adherence and intent resolution. So if I try out the agent, so ask the agent something like, tell me about Foundry evals, what I should get back is an immediate feedback about how the agent performed. And set of logs so that I can debug the agents. In this case, I can see input and output, I can see the evaluation results, I can see the associated explanations and so forth. This is great, but this only gets me so far. In order to evaluate at scale, I can use the evaluator catalog. As I mentioned earlier, we have a bunch of built-in evaluators, but I can also create custom evaluators. So if I click here to create a custom evaluator, I can pick either prompt or code-based. The good thing about code-based evaluators is that they are deterministic, so they give you a way to check an agent's work. For example, if I want to look something up in a database, or I want to do some sort of a regex check or so and so forth. But let's just say I want to collect or create a code-based, a prompt-based evaluator, LLM as a judge evaluator. I can select from different scoring mechanisms. Again, the nice part here is I could essentially build a rubric behind the scenes that the agent uses if I'm using continuous or ordinal, or I could use pass, fail. Now let me show you an example of what this looks like. So here's an escalation sentiment evaluator. What this does is it flags whether or not the user, when talking to the agent, is expressing that they want to escalate to get more information. The agent's not being helpful and providing the information that's needed. So that gives you one way to sort of measure the quality of the agent. Now, if I feel like I have the evaluators that I need, I can go ahead and create my first evaluation. I can do this in the portal, but I can also do this directly within my IDE or in CI/CD pipelines. I'll show that in a moment. But in this case, let's just go ahead and evaluate an agent. I can also evaluate models or data sets. Now, if I don't have any data, I can generate a synthetic data set. So this uses the context of the agent. I can also describe what data I want to generate, or I can seed it with additional data if I would like. In this case, I already have a data set, so I'm just going to go ahead and choose that. So if I click here, I get a nice little preview at the bottom. Once that loads, where I can see the queries of ground truth, response, and context, this was a synthetically generated data set. And then I can proceed. I can select the judge model, and it auto maps all of the fields that are needed for evaluation. So typically you don't have to do anything else here. But the judge model is going to be one of the model deployments that I have within the Foundry that's going to use that to run the evaluation. And then I can choose my evaluators. So it selects all these by default, but if I want to, for example, add one of the custom evaluators, I click on Add New Evaluator. And once this loads, I can see at the bottom, some of the evaluators that I have, like brand compliance, escalation sentiments. I'm going to select that, and I can add it here. So that's pretty straightforward. I can hit run and start an evaluation in this case, because it's going to take a few minutes to run this. I'm just going to look at an evaluation that I've previously run to see what that looks like. Now here you can see that the evaluations can be added, or I can continue to add additional evaluations to an evaluation group. So after I've run my initial evaluation, I can add more to an existing group, so that across versions, so you see versions 16, 17, 19, and so forth, I can see how the agent is doing over time. This is very helpful if I want to do a comparison. So say I want to compare these two runs, click on compare runs, and I can see if there are any differences. In this case, it's all inconclusive, which is good. So the changes that I made, well, they didn't make any improvements, but they also didn't cause any regressions. I can also do a cluster analysis to kind of dive into a little bit more details to understand, the root cause and so forth. And I can click on a specific evaluation result and see the full details, including all of the metrics and the associated explanations and so forth. So that's all here in this view. Now, if I go back to agents and I click into the agent again, there are some other features that are available. Once I get to production, I can, for example, set up monitoring for my agent. In this monitoring dashboard, I can see operational costs, I can see evaluation scores, and so forth. There are charts for everything here as well. Under settings, I can enable additional features. So in this case, I have continuous evaluation enabled at 20 runs per hour, but I can also set up scheduled evaluations, which will be used for drift monitoring. So this is nice, and it's run on a data set. With this feature, I can keep track of how the agent is performing in sort of a systematic way. Make sure that as, for example, the underlying data is changing, that this isn't causing any drift in the system. Scheduled red teaming runs are also very helpful for adversarial testing. I can set this up to continuously probe my agent for safety and security vulnerabilities. And then finally, alerts are very helpful because they give me the ability to get notified if pass rate for a specific evaluation drops below a certain threshold. These are Azure Monitor alerts, so they are going to be fired by Azure Monitor, giving me the ability to kind of track what's going on and then investigate from there. I can also open this dashboard in Azure Monitor. I can see the same data there. All the data is published to Azure Monitor, as I mentioned earlier, and I can look at that custom dashboards here as well. And finally, if I want to debug, I can go to traces, and here I can see evaluation results attached to the traces. So if I want to go and investigate a specific trace, I can click on it. I can see the input and output again, and I can see the evaluation scores and associated explanations. Now, when I start operating my agent fleet at scale, I might want to see how are all of my agents performing across the board. To do this, I can go to operate, where I can see a fleet management view. I can see all of my agents that I'm running, the cost, agent run volume, and so forth. Under assets, I can have more information. I can see the full list of agents. Again, I can see how they're performing. I can see all of my models. I can see all of my tools. And then I have a whole bunch of other features available that I can use for compliance, governance, and administration, and so forth. So that wraps up the portal portion of the demo. I am going to next go into... Now let me show you the experience in VS Code. I can run the same evaluations that I can run in Foundry Portal in VS Code as I'm making changes so that I can test locally. Here's an example of a script that I can run that will run the exact same evaluators that I've shown earlier for the support agent. The other thing I can use is Copilot Chat to help me assess and analyze the evaluation results. So here you can see an analysis that it produced. It will walk me through, the scoring, pass rate, and so forth. I can even do version comparisons. That's not something that's shown here. But then from here, it will recommend concrete updates. Rework the rubric of one of my evaluators, add some additional context, fix or re-enable the brand compliance evaluator, and so forth. And then finally, once I'm ready and I'm ready to commit my changes, I can run a GitHub action to assess how the agent is performing as a gating mechanism. And this is what this looks like. This is available in the GitHub marketplace so that it can easily be added. When I run the evaluation, I can directly see the results of the GitHub action run on the GitHub website. Here's an example. This also supports version comparison. I can click through the Foundry to see the results. And then from there, I can go back to the Foundry portal. I can continue to monitor my agent in production. This enables me to close the full loop. I can feed in signals from the outer loop back into my inner loop so that I can continuously optimize. And that wraps up the demo.
Oh, wow. Thanks so much, Sebastian. I don't know if you were watching, but I think I keep telling you that these are the kinds of videos that we can reuse and literally write a blog post on, because it's kind of end to end, and even I see features that I didn't know existed. So thank you. For those online, I've kind of put the links to the docs. You should check it out. But Sebastian, a couple of questions while we have time, and then we'll wrap really quickly. One was from Ravi Singh. I was talking about prohibited actions. I just wanted to see what people had used. And he wanted to know what's the most common prohibited action used. Do you know, by any chance?
I don't know, unfortunately. That one, I mean, yeah, I don't know, unfortunately.
We'll ask Minsu next time she's on.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of the kind of red teaming team's areas of expertise. Then Pablo had a question which said, if we had an agent framework hosted agent in Foundry composed of several agents, is it handled as a single agent, or can we apply evaluations to the internal agents inside that kind of
great question. So it really depends on how you've architected the multi-agent system. So if you are treating these agents as tools, these sub-agents as tools, and you can evaluate using some of our tool call evaluators. Now, if you're treating the sub-agents as sort of independent entities and independent agents that are also Foundry agents, then you can evaluate the agents themselves. Typically, it really depends on how you've set it up, but you can do both.
He had a follow-up question, which was basically saying, if we add an agent deployed in another cloud to Entra, can we also evaluate that agent, or would there be limitations to it, or is it just not possible?
You can, yes. So you can do something that we call data set as a target evaluation, where you have an agent that's hosted somewhere else, or you have an agent that you built somewhere else. You can run evaluation for that agent. We are going to be publishing some additional user docs on this shortly, so to give more details on how to do this. But yeah, that is an option.
We should update the session with all of those. And I think I'll leave just with one last question. I actually had this when I was watching you generate the synthetic data set for evaluation. Is there ways to evaluate the synthetic data set itself? Is there ways to make sure it's generating the right thing? Because we know sometimes it's kind of very open-ended.
Yeah, that's a good question. So the initial data set that you have is based on the agent context. So we give you a set of questions for evaluation, but then that only gets you so far, right? It's test coverage at the end of the day. When you are writing software, are you going to have 100% test coverage initially? No. So the way that we are solving for that in the product is to actually create a feedback loop, so that once the agent starts running in production, if there are test cases that you're missing, you can continuously augment your test data with traces, your production evals, and so forth. From there, you can continuously improve the data set to make sure that you maximize your test coverage.
Awesome. So I think we might have more questions. I need to share your video in our Discord chat, but I wanted to say that This was a packed episode today, but Sebastian will be back on Discord this Friday. 30 minutes completely on him. So please bring all your toughest questions and join our AMA. You can go to ak.ms/Model Mondays Discord or /chat and join us. Thank you so much, Sebastian. I'm going to come back and grab all the details from you to share, and hopefully you'll be able to tell us what's coming up over the next few months as
Yeah,
well.
love it. I'm excited to join the Discord chat on Friday. Looking forward to it.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And with that, we're kind of almost at the end. Just don't forget that we have Foundry Fridays this Friday. Next week, we'll have my colleague April Gittens hosting Leo Yao from the AI PK Toolkit team. Now that's going to be one of the best ways in which you can kind of manage your developer experience right from VS Code. So join us for that. And we didn't have time to kind of walk through the news, but Sharmila did put them all together. So if we have time, we'll just roll tape and look at a few of the big news highlights that happened this week. And with that, we will be closing the session right after.
And welcome back to news highlights. And welcome back to news highlights on Model Mondays. Let's get started. Big news from XAI, Grok 4.0, which we brought into Foundry a few months back, is now generally available in Foundry, and it offers powerful reasoning, agentic capabilities, and large context intelligence right out of the box. But the momentum doesn't stop here. We also brought in Grok 4.1 Fast, and it's arriving with significant upgrades for faster responses, better efficiency, and enhanced tool use. For developers and enterprises, that means more speed and depth for coding assistants, multi-step workflows, and knowledge workers, all hosted with Azure's reliability and governance. So go try out Grok 4.1 as well as Grok 4.0 in your production applications. Moving on, Microsoft is unlocking high-performance inference for DeepSeek models by using NVFP4 precision on NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs. This means faster throughput, lower cost, and greater utilization for dense retrieval and embedding work, especially in RAG pipelines. In plain terms, your search and insight systems can now run bigger and faster without blowing up the infrastructure bill. Next, a big update on Sovereign Cloud. Azure's Sovereign Cloud just took a big step forward. It now supports governance, productivity tooling, and secure large AI model execution, even in fully disconnected environments. So for regulated industries like government, defense, healthcare, financial institutions, this is huge. Mission critical AI, that means data locality and compliance requirements while still delivering performance and scale. So it's a major enabler for trustworthy AI in sensitivity context. Now, an update on fine-tuning. Fine-tuning just got broader and better in Foundry. Microsoft is extending custom model training support to include GPT-4o and 4o mini, which means developers can now tailor those powerful models to their domain data more easily. This unlocks tighter alignment to enterprise needs, better task specificity, and optimized performance on custom workflows without having to start from scratch. And finally, say hello to Flux to Flex. We already heard our partner talking about it today. So this is the next gen model optimized for text heavy UI design and prototyping. And you all saw all the great demos that was done. So I'm not going to go too much into the detail, but this is again available in Foundry. You should go try it out. And we also have all the previous generation of Flux models as well. And finally, our update on Hugging Face. Qwen 3.5 medium model series has come from Hugging Face. Today, I want to spotlight the 3.5 medium model, which is the family of 3 vision language models released under Apache 2.0, all supporting an impressive 262,000 token context window and 211 languages. So what makes this series of Qwen series stand out are these 3 shared innovations. First, early fusion vision language training. Text and image tokens are trained together from the start,
which enables stronger reasoning over charts, diagrams, and documents compared to models that bolt vision on later. And then the second, gated delta networks, a linear attention approach that replaces standard self-attention in most layers, delivering higher throughput and lower latency. And third, reinforcement learning scaled across multi-agent environments, which improves instruction following and agentic behavior. So within the family, each model targets a different deployment need. Quen 3.527 billion is the dense baseline activating all parameters every time. That predictability makes it ideal for latency sensitive real-time like visual quality inspection in manufacturing. Quen 3.5 35 billion A3B is the throughput optimized option. It uses a mixture of experts design with only 3 billion active parameters per token, making it a strong fit for high volume document analysis such as contract review pipelines. And at the very top end, we have the 3.5 122 billion A10B, which delivers the highest capability, leading across multimodal benchmarks and handling the most demanding tasks like long-form visual financial analysis over slides and charts. And that brings us to an end to the weekly highlights on Model Mondays. I will hand it over back to Nitya. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining, and thanks again to our speakers. This session is part of a series. To register for future shows and watch past episodes on demand, you can follow the link on the screen or in the chat. We're always looking to improve our sessions and your experience. If you have any feedback for us, we would love to hear what you have to say. You can find that link on the screen or in the chat. And we'll see you at the next one.